Okay, so now we're at my drill press, and here's that bit that I just ground. And I'm going to chuck this thing up. Alright, so I have this piece of steel, which I've drilled a bunch of holes in. It's just a cheap piece of steel I got at the local hardware store. It's about 3 feet long, and about 2.5 feet of it is hanging off the edge of the drill press table. So this end is very, very light, and I'm just going to hold it down with fingertip pressure only. On the quill, I'm going to use one thumb on there for pressure. That's it. So the whole idea here is to give this bit as much opportunity to screw up as it possibly can, because the metal is really floppy around and I'm hardly bearing down on the quill at all. So if the bit is going to make a bad hole or it's going to be off center, then I should be able to see the bit wander around or see the metal move, things like that. Otherwise, if it just cuts a nice clean hole, then I know everything is good to go. So, remember I was telling you about what happens when you grind a bit and you're not dead center in those jaws, and you get the point not at 90 degrees from the opposites of the two flutes? Well, this is what happens. So this hole right here, the bit looked great. It looked like it was going to cut like a charm, but the point was at an angle, not at 90 degrees, but at like 60 or 70 degrees instead. And when I started to cut, it did not cut. I basically wallowed a hole in the metal with the bit, and it never actually cut anything. So it's got an edge on there, whereas a hole that cuts cleanly, there's nothing. There's no edge between the flat metal and the hole. There's like a little teeny tiny edge, but almost nothing at all. It's because the bit's actually removing material rather than shoving it out of the way. Same thing with this one here. This was another one that I screwed up. It's got a nice pronounced edge on it because I was basically shoving the metal out of the way rather than cutting it. So let's actually cut this piece of steel and see how it does. So just one thumb is pressure. You're seeing nice little chips come off. Yep, that bit cut perfectly. So anyway, it's kind of hard to see, I'm sure, on the camera, but the bottom of the hole is flat because the point is got a little tiny piece of flat area on it, and then the walls of the hole, the sloped areas, look like they are machined away, not scraped, not gouged, but nice and clean. Let's see which hole is it. So yes, these two that are wallowed away, it's not going to show up on the camera, but the walls of the hole look like they're scraped. They're really rough, and they're not nice and clean, whereas all these ones that I cut the bit correctly, you get a nice machined look to the thing. It's actually a much better cut on there than it is on the bit. So anyway, that was a successful cut on the bit.